Hello and welcome to Gamer Said. I am so excited for this episode. I'm a huge Zelda fan. You guys also love Zelda, which is why we at Game Rant asked you on GameRant.com, what was your first Legend of Zelda game? I love hearing people's experiences with the Zelda series, so let's just get into it. Alright, starting right off the bat, Basil posted, Majoras Mask. I was traumatized. Yeah, I'm surprised you weren't scared away from playing any other Zelda games, because this game will mess you up, especially as a kid. Twilight Princess was marketed as an edgier, darker Zelda game, but everyone knows the darkest one, hands down, is Majora's Mask. Everything from the theme of impending doom, the character designs, I'm looking at you, you damn happy mask salesman, you scared the out of me as a kid. Time always running out, so you're just inherently stressed playing through the entire game. Oh, and did I mention the happy mask salesman? What the hell, man? When he picked up Link and started shaking him, I was like 6 years old. That scared me so much. Why does he make that face? Why? Okay, but focusing less on how terrifying this game is, it is also a wonderful game. It's also an interesting one to start with because aside from how terrifying it is, it's also a bit different from the classic formula. Majora's Mask, compared to other Zelda games, focused way more on its side quests than its actual dungeons. There's only 4 dungeons in the game, 5 if you include the moon. This game really focused on the people of Termina. It was so interesting seeing how they cope with the impending doom. And there's also a phenomenal build up to all the dungeons that coincides well with the gameplay. Like how you get the masks is you helping the various characters overcome whatever they left behind before they passed. It's a terrifying game, yes, but also a wonderful one. Okay, this is a good one to start with too. Next one posted by Casey David, A Link to the Past. Before a certain other Zelda game, which I'll be talking about in a bit, A Link to the Past was the standard for the classic Zelda series formula. Ganon attacks Hyrule, the Dark World emerges, you have a select amount of dungeons to go through, collect something which will give you access to the final dungeon. You know, that whole spiel became solidified in A Link to the Past. And it did a great job too. A Link to the Past still holds up very well today. Out of the old school Zelda games, well, pre-3D Zelda, A Link to the Past is one of the best in the series. Also, great soundtrack. You're gonna hear that a lot. The Zelda series soundtrack is chef's kiss. I will never get tired of the Dark World theme. Also, the Hyrule Castle theme. No one really talks about this theme too much, but the first few seconds alone, oh my god, that got me so hyped to get started. The tone was set so clearly, so early on. It was such an eerie, but also kind of comforting tone. It's also amazing that this game is so accessible to play today with Nintendo Switch Online. Casey, you definitely started off with great quality gameplay, and in terms of narrative, you also got a solid idea of what the Zelda series is going to follow. Okay, Juju the Dude posted the most classic Zelda game you possibly could. I'm 37 and was born in June of the year the very first Zelda came out, so that one. NES Zelda. I can happily say that the first Zelda game actually holds up for the most part. It's still pretty fun to play gameplay-wise. You're obviously not going to get that much of a story. It was an NES game. Also, let's be honest, if you're telling me you beat that game without a guide, absolutely not. I'm not buying it. Do not feed me that nonsense. That's definitely one aspect this game has not aged well at all. It's so damn vague, but that's also just a symptom of a lot of NES games. And because of that, I don't think there's any shame in playing this game with a guide today. Maybe don't use it for it to hold your hand the entire experience, but just so you can progress throughout the game. For its time, it was amazing, and for today, it still holds up pretty well. So, Juju, that's a great game to start with. Following right after is Shariz, or Shariz, I hope I pronounced that properly. It was Twilight Princess for me on the Wii. My dad had bought a Wii to do some homebrew or something, and I guess he picked up some random games to go with it. So I just started playing it because I was curious and really enjoyed it. Didn't finish it until a few years back though on the Wii U. That was actually the first game I had played from start to finish. Oh my god, yeah, you started off with one of my personal favorites too. Twilight Princess will always be like top 3 Zelda games for me. Also a good one to start with because it follows the classic Zelda series formula pretty well. And gameplay wise, like the dungeons are so fun in that game. The gameplay progression was also so satisfying thanks to learning all of the skills from the hero Shade. And also once you find out who the hero Shade is, it's a spoiler, but I mean it's pretty commonly known by this point. But in case you don't know, I'll refrain from saying it. It adds so much to the greater Zelda lore. And of course the story of this game. Oh my god. Like I said earlier, they did try to make this game a lot darker, and I think they tried a little too hard. hard, but the story still holds up incredibly well. One of the best stories in the series. Zant is a terrifying villain and commands so much presence on screen, and when you see how he evolves throughout the game, from when you first see him to then when you finally confront him and he goes into this absolute psychopath, that was horrifying. He broke this whole like calm and collected persona and quickly showed how much of a damn psychopath he is. Also, soundtrack again, Hyrule Field, the best Hyrule Field theme, hands down. No one will ever change my mind on this. GameCube Zelda games were just peak, man. I love these games so much. Twilight Princess constantly rotates, probably like #1 with either this or Wind Waker. Cherise or Cherise, again, sorry if I'm mispronouncing that, fantastic game to start with. Okay, so I'm cheating a little bit here, and I'm going to give my answer because I absolutely love this series. It's very personal to me, and it's a game that I'm really surprised no one put on here. It's a very basic choice, I know, but it's so good for a reason. Ocarina of Time. Ocarina of Time dethroned A Link to the Past for the quintessential Zelda experience. Like, when you think about what defines a Zelda game in terms of the gameplay, the narrative, the progression, it's Ocarina of Time. It laid the foundation for so many core aspects of this series. The story also holds up pretty well. It's so amazing seeing this young Link start off with like this somewhat dangerous but rather innocent journey, which quickly gets a lot darker once you pick up the Master Sword and you see how much Ganondorf has ravaged Hyrule. Oh, and of course, this is the game that gave us not Ganon, but Ganondorf as the main villain, and he is awesome. I have never played a more intense tennis match in my entire life, and it's so funny that they keep This is like what I mean by core aspects. The damn tennis match, out of all things, even came back in Tears of the Kingdom. And of course, the dungeons. Oh my God, the dungeons in this game are masterpieces. Well, I mean, there's that one, which I know it's like beating a dead horse. You guys all know which one I'm talking about. But aside from that one, the Forest Temple, still one of the greatest dungeons in the entire series. The Spirit Temple is a blast and has this amazing theme of duality. And Ganon's Castle, my God, the second half, when you're climbing up the staircase and the music keeps building up, getting louder and louder, was so chilling. Oh yeah, and if we're going to talk about Zelda music, hello. This game introduced, again, a lot of staple songs that came back throughout the series. God, this game gave us the Song of Storms, it gave us the Spirit Temple theme, the Lost Woods. This game is stacked. And even today, whether you play the N64/Masters Collection Edition on the GameCube or the 3DS remake, this game still holds up phenomenally. Anyone can play it. Treat yourself to it. And that'll do it for this one. Thank you all so much for watching. If you want to talk about the Zelda game you started with, or even just your favorite Zelda game, feel free to comment it below. Or if you want to continue the conversation, feel free to head to GameRant.com where you can check out this thread, along with many other threads we post on a regular basis. Thanks again for watching. I'm Bilal with GameRant, and we'll see you for the next one. Take care, everybody.